Have you ever just seen a single video completely take over your entire feed? You know, one minute it's just this personal moment of triumph for someone, and the next, bam, it's a global phenomenon. Millions of views. How does that even happen? Well, it's not just random luck. It's more like a kind of digital chemistry. And today, we're going to break down the anatomy of a viral moment and figure out the exact formula that makes it explode. So take a look at these 4 words right here. They might look like a simple search you type into Google, right? But I want you to think of them more like the DNA of a viral sensation. Every single word here, filipina, gold medalist, viral, video, each one represents a really powerful ingredient. And when you put them all together, you get a near-perfect recipe for grabbing the entire world's attention. So let's deconstruct this recipe and see what's really going on. All right, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to nail down what a viral phenomenon even is. Then we'll get into the emotional heart of it all, the story of pride and achievement. After that, we'll look at the engine that makes it all spread, what we're calling the digital amplifier. We'll see how those two forces collide to create a massive impact. And then finally, we'll ask the big question: what kind of legacy do these moments actually leave behind? Okay, so let's start with the big picture. A viral phenomenon isn't just something that gets a ton of views. It's a moment that kind of breaks out of its original container. It becomes this shared cultural experience that suddenly everyone is talking about, all at the exact same time. So the real question for us is, what are the specific ingredients that trigger that kind of explosive collective attention? And the answer, it doesn't start with technology or algorithms or anything like that. It starts with something deeply, deeply human. At the heart of every single one of these unforgettable viral moments is a powerful story. It's that emotional core, the pride, the achievement that hooks us in, because it's always, always about so much more than just a win. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've got these 2 huge forces colliding. On one side, you have the individual story, right? Years of sacrifice, of dedication, of just raw talent, all boiling down to this one single moment of victory. But then, almost instantly, that win gets claimed by something so much bigger. It becomes a symbol for an entire nation. It's not just one person's achievement anymore. All of a sudden, it's our victory. And this is where the power of identity just kicks into high gear. When an achievement is tied to a nation or a community, it taps into this deep, deep well of collective pride. It gives people representation on a global stage. And so often, it taps into that classic underdog story that we all love to root for. And maybe, most importantly, it creates an instant role model. It's inspiration for a whole new generation who can finally see themselves in that victory. And that feeling is just captured so perfectly in words like these. We hear champions say it all the time, don't we? This isn't just my medal. This is for all of us. And that's it. That's the moment it transforms from a personal prize into this shared symbol of hope and what we can achieve together. So, okay, you've got this incredible, emotionally charged human story. But how does that story get from one single moment in time to millions and millions of screens all across the globe in just a few hours? Well, that brings us to the engine of it all, the digital amplifier. This is how a local moment of pride catches fire and becomes a global conversation. So what exactly is a viral video, anyway? Well, at its core, it's just content that spreads like a digital wildfire through our social networks. The 2 things to remember are speed and scale. This isn't a slow burn. We're talking about an absolute explosion of attention that happens like almost overnight. And that explosion actually follows a surprisingly predictable path. It all starts when that raw, emotional moment gets caught on camera. Then, someone makes that first initial share. But here's the key. The algorithms on these platforms, they are designed to spot a surge. They see all the likes, the comments, the shares, and they start to amplify it, pushing it out to more and more people. And before you know it, you've got a global cascade, as the video just leaps across platforms, borders, and even languages. And the scale we're talking about here is it's mind-bending. Forget thousands of viewers. We're talking about a potential audience of over 100 million people. I mean, think about that. A single powerful moment can be seen by more people in 48 hours than might have watched the top-rated TV show in an entire decade just a few generations ago. That is the incredible raw power of the digital amplifier. So now we've got our 2 key forces, right? the profound emotional core of a human story and the massive, unparalleled reach of the digital amplifier. The most important thing to understand is what happens when these two collide. It's not just a story plus a platform. It's the perfect storm that creates a truly unforgettable cultural moment. And this chart shows you exactly what I mean. On its own, a compelling personal story has power, for sure. A digital platform has reach. But when you combine them, the impact isn't just additive, it's exponential. The whole becomes way, way bigger than the sum of its parts. So, putting it all together, here it is, our proven recipe for a viral touchstone. You start with that authentic emotional core. The real tears, the unfiltered joy. You make sure it stands as a symbol for a whole group of people. It absolutely has to be a visually compelling moment you just can't look away from. And finally, you package it all up in that short, bite-sized, instantly shareable format that was born for the internet. That's the blueprint. But look, we all know how fast the internet moves on. That digital spotlight is incredibly powerful, but boy, is it fleeting. So once the views start to slow down and the algorithm finds its next big thing, what's left? What's the real, lasting legacy of these moments beyond just the view count? And that really is the ultimate question, isn't it? In an age of just endless, nonstop content, where we are flooded with information every single second, what's that secret sauce that lets one single moment of human achievement cut through all that noise and earn a permanent spot in our collective memory? Think about the last viral moment that really stuck with you. What was its formula?